Welcome to another deep dive. This time we'll be exploring the ethical and societal implications of quantum science. We're not just talking about some crazy physics here, but how this field is about to reshape everything. And to guide us, we have this essay, Ethical and Social Aspects of Quantum Science, by Yorgo Schneepat. He really dives deep into the potential problems of this tech.
Yeah, Schneepat really nails it when he says quantum science is breaking free from the theoretical realm. It's moving into real-world stuff now, touching everything from global security to how we understand reality.
Okay, so before we get too far, let's recap some key quantum mechanics concepts. I'm sure some of you out there are thinking, quantum physics. Isn't that all about cats being dead and alive at the same time? Well, it's more complicated than that. But you're right. That thought experiment, Schrödinger's cat, illustrates the concept of superposition.
Superposition is wild. It means a particle can exist in multiple states at once. It's not just spinning up or down, it's like doing both at the same time.
So it's like flipping a coin and having it land on heads and tails at the same time.
Ex
Wow. And then there's entanglement, where two particles, no matter how far apart, are connected in a way that breaks classical physics.
you change one particle and the other changes instantly, even if they're light years away. It's like they have this invisible connection.
So we have particles in multiple states at once,
hmm
and they're connected across huge distances. It sounds pretty theoretical, right? But here's the thing. Quantum science is already the basis of tons of technologies we use every day.
Absolutely. Lasers, transistors, even those OLED screens on our smartphones, they all rely on quantum mechanics. It's already part of our lives.
And Schneepat really stresses that this is just the beginning. We're on the edge of a quantum revolution with technologies like quantum computing, quantum cryptography, and even quantum medicine about to change everything.
Let's talk about quantum computing. Imagine a computer that can check every solution to a problem at the same time. That's the power of quantum computing. It uses these things called qubits, which can be 0, 1, or both at the same time because of superposition. Unlike bits in our normal computers,
It's like having a computer that runs through every possibility at once. Schneepat highlights its potential for medical breakthroughs, like designing life-saving drugs and catching diseases early.
and it's not just healthcare. It could change material science, allowing us to make things with properties we can only dream of right now. The financial industry is also all over it because of its potential for super fast calculations and risk analysis.
But Schneepat isn't all sunshine and roses. He's careful to point out the potential risks, too. Like, what happens when quantum computers get powerful enough to break all our current encryption?
Right. That's where quantum cryptography comes in. And it's a great example of how quantum science is a double-edged sword.
So how does that work?
Well, on one hand, it uses quantum principles to make basically unbreakable encryption. Imagine secure communications for everyone, governments, businesses, and individuals. It would be a huge win for cybersecurity.
That was amazing.
It does. But as Schneepat points out, this level of security could be used by bad actors too, making it almost impossible to track criminal activity. Unbreakable encryption sounds great, but what if it falls into the wrong hands? It's a big ethical problem we have to deal with as this technology keeps growing.
That's a really good point. And it's not just security either. Schneepat also talks about how quantum tech could make global inequality worse. Imagine if only the richest countries and companies could benefit from quantum computing.
It'd be like a new arms race, but with quantum computers instead of weapons. And this difference wouldn't just be between countries either. It could create inequalities within societies too. Access to things like quantum-enhanced healthcare or education could become super uneven.
That's a scary thought.
It is. Schneepat says we need to be proactive and address these potential problems. He talks about the need for something called quantum literacy.
So basically, we need people to understand both the good and the bad of quantum science. How can we have a real discussion about its impact if most people don't even get it?
Exactly. Schneepat suggests things like clear communication from scientists, engaging education, and open access to research.
I like that. By understanding these complex issues, we can help shape how this technology develops and is used. It's not just up to the scientists and politicians, it's up to all of us.
Right. That's the key takeaway here. This brings us to one of the most interesting parts of quantum science, the philosophy. This is where things get really trippy. Schneepat touches on some huge questions facing humanity. Like, if quantum mechanics suggests the universe is random, does that mean free will is just an illusion?
And then there's the role of the observer.
hmm
If just looking at a quantum system can change it, What does that say about reality?
It's mind-blowing stuff, right? We have a lot to unpack, but we'll get there. Schneppat gives us so much to think about.
He does, so stay tuned, because next we'll explore how quantum science is already changing the world and what it means for you.
Welcome back to our deep dive on the ethics and societal impacts of quantum science. We've covered the basics and the potential impact of this revolutionary field, so now let's get specific.
As promised, we're going to lean on those insights from Yorgo Schneppat's essay to see how quantum science is already shaking things up.
One area Schneppat is really excited about is drug discovery. Imagine simulating how molecules interact at the atomic level.
That would be huge. We could design drugs way faster and with insane precision. It'd totally change how we treat diseases.
Exactly. Schneppat even suggests that quantum computers could lead to theranostics, which combines diagnosis and treatment into one targeted approach.
So instead of separate tests and treatments, you get a single personalized therapy made just for you. It's like something out of sci-fi. But with quantum computing, it might not be that far off.
And it's not just limited to healthcare. Schneppat also talks about the potential impact on material science. Imagine creating materials with properties we haven't even thought of yet, like lighter but stronger stuff for aerospace, more efficient solar panels, or even self-healing materials. That would revolutionize manufacturing.
The possibilities seem endless. But as Schneppat reminds us, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's where the ethical side comes in.
One concern Schneppat raises is that quantum computers could disrupt the global balance of power. He says the nations or corporations that control this technology will have a massive advantage in things like economics, military strategy, even scientific discoveries.
It sounds like a new kind of arms race,
Yeah.
but with quantum computers instead of weapons. It's a little scary, honestly.
Schneppat uses the term quantum colonialism to describe a situation where rich nations or corporations use their quantum advantage to benefit themselves at the expense of others. It's a serious warning, and it shows how important it is to think about the consequences as we develop this tech.
It sounds like we need to have some big conversations about how to make sure the benefits of quantum science are shared fairly.
That's what Schneppat is pushing for. He believes that to navigate all this complexity, we need people who are educated about both the potential and the risks of quantum science. He calls it quantum literacy.
So it's not just about understanding the science, but being able to talk about the ethical and societal implications in a meaningful way.
Exactly. Schneppat emphasizes open communication and collaboration between scientists, policymakers, and the public. He thinks the development of quantum technology should be guided by principles of inclusivity and accessibility.
It's great to hear someone pushing for such a thoughtful and ethical approach to technology. It reminds us that we have a responsibility to shape the future of quantum science so it benefits everyone.
Now let's shift gears and talk about another area where quantum science is making waves: quantum cryptography. Like we said before, it has the potential to completely change cybersecurity, but it also brings up some tricky ethical issues.
Schneppet really gets into this, exploring that tension between security and privacy. On one hand, quantum cryptography could make it almost impossible for hackers to get their hands on sensitive info.
Right.
That would be a game changer for everything from finances to national security.
But on the other hand, as Schneppat points out, what happens when this level of security is used by governments or companies to spy on people or silence dissent? Unbreakable encryption could become a tool for authoritarianism, making it even harder to hold those in power accountable.
So it's a classic example of how technology can be both incredibly useful and potentially dangerous. It seems like finding the right balance is crucial.
Schneppat doesn't offer any easy solutions, but he stresses the importance of setting up clear legal and ethical rules for how we develop and use quantum cryptography. He says we need to start talking about this now before the technology gets so big that it's too late to control.
So we need to be thinking not just about the technical stuff, but also about the social and political implications.
Absolutely. Schneppat believes we need a broad societal discussion about the future of quantum technology, involving everyone from scientists and engineers to philosophers, ethicists, and everyday people.
It's encouraging that he emphasizes public involvement. It reminds us that the future of quantum science isn't set in stone. We can all play a role in shaping it.
Schneppat's message is clear. The quantum revolution isn't just about technology, it's about us. With that in mind, let's move on and explore how quantum mechanics could change our understanding of reality itself.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've talked about the potential of quantum science and the ethical challenges it brings up. But now let's get to the really mind-blowing stuff, how quantum science is changing how we understand reality itself.
Yeah, Yorgo Schneeppet really gets into this philosophical stuff in his essay. He reminds us that quantum mechanics isn't just some equations, it's a whole new way of looking at the universe.
For a long time, we thought the universe was deterministic, like a giant clock, where everything happens predictably. But quantum mechanics kind of messes that up, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. At the subatomic level, things get way less predictable. We have particles existing in multiple states at once, influencing each other across huge distances, and even messing with our idea of time.
It's crazy. And Schneeppet asks, if the universe isn't deterministic, does that mean we even have free will? Or are our choices already set by some cosmic quantum roll of the dice?
That's a question that's been bugging philosophers and physicists forever. Schneeppet looks at different ways to interpret quantum mechanics. Some suggest the universe is fundamentally random, so chance is built into reality itself.
So instead of a predictable clockwork universe, we might be living in a universe where chance plays a big part. Wild. And that brings up even bigger questions about consciousness, the meaning of life, even the possibility of multiple universes.
Schneeppet also digs into the idea of the observer in quantum mechanics. This idea suggests that just observing a quantum system can change it.
So it's not just that we don't know what's happening until we look, it's that our looking is part of what makes it happen. Like, reality is fluid changing based on how we see it.
Right. And Schneeppet points out that this isn't just a theory, it's been shown in experiments like the famous double slit experiment.
That experiment shows light can act like a wave and a particle depending on how we look at it. It's like the universe is saying, hey, I can be whatever you need me to be. It's amazing and a little creepy.
Definitely. Schneeppet doesn't say quantum mechanics is the final answer, though. He sees it as a step towards understanding reality even better.
He wants us to stay curious, keep exploring, and accept that the universe might be way weirder and more awesome than we ever thought.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great place to wrap things up.
This deep dive was just a glimpse into the ethical and philosophical implications of quantum science. But hopefully it gave you a taste of the big questions this field is raising.
As we finish, I want to leave you with one last thought from Schneeppet. If the way we understand reality is changing, how might that change our values, our ethics, even how we see ourselves in the universe? It's something to think about as we move into this quantum age. It's not just about technology, it's about consciousness, meaning, and what it means to exist. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.